Good evening and welcome to tonight's FCS National Championship game between the New Hampshire Wildcats and the Georgia Southern Eagles. We started this season with 119 teams that fought for the FCS Championship, and it's down to 2. And not only that, we will see it go to decide who wins the FCS National Championship game, as both teams will go ahead and take the field here for the Year 3 National Championship game. Georgia Southern, we're going to take a look at them as Ikeda Woods is leading this Georgia Southern squad. The redshirt junior was a Heisman finalist that we did get to mention, as we do see who Lee Corso and company does decide to go with. And Lee Corso really likes Georgia Southern in this game. So, it comes down to this game. Make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand new to the channel, let's go ahead and get this championship game underway. We've been waiting for a minute, and now it is here. As we will go ahead and see Charles Irvin, the sophomore kicker for the New Hampshire Wildcats. He will raise his hand in the air, and we will get the FCS National Championship game officially underway, as Albert Miniacci is going to take it out of the end zone for a solid game. Let's see his offense. So the Georgia Southern offense is led by their Maxwell Award winner, Ikeda Woods. The junior redshirt is the main cog in this offense, but he's also got a pretty good backfield with him as well. The senior redshirt, Albert Miniacci, is a second-team all-conference running back that can do some serious damage. Not to mention Thomas Nelson, the senior fullback, a sturdy fullback who looks to take some heads off when putting together those lead blocks for his teammates. Speaking of putting together some strong blocks, they also have a great offensive line here at Georgia Southern. AJ Love is a first-team all-conference. He's at left tackle. Cedric Hart, the left guard. He's second-team all-conference. Rich Nixman, a true freshman. He's already first-team all-conference. Rounding out the group of strong offensive line play, we got James Williams, who's a senior redshirt, and Ryan Merriman, the junior right tackle, who's a first-team all-conference nominee. And finally, while Georgia Southern doesn't pass the football very often, they do have some very capable playmakers as well. Dallas Whitaker is the #1 wide receiver. He's a junior redshirt. They also have Nick Ferguson on the outside as well. He's a senior playing in his final collegiate game. And finally, at the tight end position, we got Aaron Smith, who's great not only at catching passes, but putting down some key blocks as well. So after introducing this offense for the Georgia Southern Eagles, we'll go ahead and check in on them here as they have a 3rd and long to start this game. We'll see what Ikeda Woods does as he lines up under center. Going to try to drop back. The pass has to avoid a defender and will have to go ahead. They do not pick up the first down. Seth Allen, the true freshman, makes the tackle. And William Barrett, the redshirt senior, does punt the football away over to Otis Griff for New Hampshire's first possession. Now, any air raid offense here at New Hampshire cannot start without the quarterback, and they certainly have a great one. Carlos Montoya, he is making his next consecutive start, looking at 36 consecutive starts. He's a second-team all-conference nominee, but they also got a great running back in the backfield as well. True freshman Zach Howe, he's a first-team all-conference, and while he doesn't run the football very often, he is an extreme threat to come out of the backfield for the New Hampshire Wildcats. Speaking of receiving threats, they certainly have some in the receiving core as well. They don't use the tight end very often, but they go 4 wide very often, led by their all-conference nominees, Jermaine Thomas and Trevor Garcia. They are very good at stretching the field, not to mention they also have experience in their other parts of the starting lineup. Terrence Slaughter, the junior, 6'1", and Ross William, the junior redshirt, who stands at 6 foot. They know a thing or two about making these secondaries around the country, giving them a very long day that they won't soon forget. And those explosive plays on offense are not possible without a great offensive line making it all happen. One of the best offensive lines in the country. Not only is everyone at least a conference player, but they have an All-American as well, led by James McClellan, the sophomore tackle who's a first-team All-American. But they got great guys all the way down the line. Mike Hill, he's first team. Michael Alexander, he's first team. James Guillory is also a first-team All-Conference. And Joe Rice, considered the weakest link, but he's still a second-team All-Conference in the ACC. One of the best offensive lines in the country. And Georgia Southern will definitely have its hands full with this offense. So now we will go ahead and see New Hampshire's first possession of the ball game, as we got a 3rd and 5 with Carlos Montoya under shotgun. He's going to throw it out to the left-hand side and finds the sophomore Jermaine Thomas for a huge first down as he drops that right in the bucket. And they're going to need big plays like that throughout the day, as Georgia Southern has one of the best defenses in all of college football. Montoya, though, showing no fear, taking a shot, but it's going to be intercepted in the back of the end zone. That's Tate Gray, the junior redshirt, with the interception. And speaking of defense, we'll see New Hampshire's now. So starting off with the defensive line, we got a good mix of experience and talent, led by the senior redshirt Patrick McDaniel, who's an emotional leader for this unit, but they also got some good young talent. Kyle McDonald, he's a first-team All-Conference nominee at the other defensive end position, alongside 2 defensive tackles that were just at prom last year. Travis James, who's a true freshman, and then, of course, the first-team All-Conference nominee, Eric Taylor, who's also a true freshman kind of guy. But the key to this game, if you're a New Hampshire Wildcats fan, is how those linebackers play, and they're built to stop Georgia Southern. Led by first-team All-American Tavita Bean, who's a run stopper, so is the true freshman Brian Hall, who's a second-team All-Conference guy as a true freshman. John Conley, he's a true freshman at middle linebacker. He will also get the start as well, who can defend both the run and the pass. And finally, in the back end, we have one of your guys' custom players at the first corner position, Otis Grip, who's just a true freshman and already a second-team All-Conference nominee. Seth Allen is also at the cornerback 2 spot. He will be filling in for a couple of injured players in the New Hampshire secondary. Rounding out this defense is Randy Harrison, who's a true freshman. And of course, Tim Boyd, the junior strong safety, who is your Jim Forpay Award winner, playing in a national championship. So Georgia Southern will now get its offense back out on the field here for 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line following the interception, as Ikeda Woods will wind up under center. Is going to go with the option play, getting out to the left-hand side, and we got space down the sideline, as that is going to go for a nice first down. First down that we see for Georgia Southern. We'll see if they can keep that going, as they will go right back into the option. And Ikeda Woods, he's going to get loose with it. Otis Grip has to come in from behind. But a great run, though, by Ikeda Woods for a fantastic first down. And for the first time today, Georgia Southern a serious threat to get points on the board. 1st and 10 from the 31. They go back to the option. Ikeda takes it to the outside. He will decide to keep it himself for that first down play, as that will get the Eagles into the red zone, starting at the 17-yard line, going back to that running game as Ikeda gets loose again. This time a little bit more resistance from the New Hampshire defense, and that will eventually make it 3rd and 6. What do they decide to do here on this 3rd down? Miniachi gets moved into motion. Ikeda getting ready to snap the football. They go to the running game, but it's going to be blown up in the backfield. That will mean that they will have to settle for a field goal, as Brian Henry will actually go about getting the first points of this game on the board. So now we'll go ahead and see the true freshman Brian Henry kick things back off, and they got a very explosive player in Otis Grip. We'll see if he takes it to the crib, as Otis Grip does get it, but he will be brought down. Let's check out the Georgia Southern defense. Now, the biggest key for the Georgia Southern defense is getting pressure on Carlos Montoya, and they got guys that they can do that. Led by their defensive ends, Robert Jackson, who's a second-team All-Conference nominee, as well as the first-team All-American, Jason Pleasant. They're going to be keys to attack this offense. They also have experience in the interior. Chris Hood is starting as a senior redshirt playing in his final game, as well as Chad Goodman, the true junior, who specializes in going after this quarterback. Also looking to make an impact on this game is the linebacking core, led by sophomore linebacker Bubba Campbell, who is a first-team All-Conference nominee, but there's some serious talent here in the linebacking core as well. Demetrius Abdullah is starting at left outside linebacker. He's just a true freshman. And speaking of true freshmen, Mark Leslie is going to get the start as well, playing in a huge moment here in his freshman campaign. But assuming that Carlos Montoya lets it fly today, this secondary has to be ready, and they got a good bunch. Led by their true freshman Tyson Williams. He's a first-team All-Conference, but also a lot of experience on the back end as well, with DeAndre Dowdell, another one of your customs starting in the national championship. He's a true sophomore. They also have the senior John Bain, who's a second-team All-Conference nominee. And rounding out this group of talented secondary guys, we got the junior redshirt Tate Gray. We'll see if they're up for the challenge. So we'll go ahead and see if Georgia Southern has what it takes to contain the aerial onslaught of New Hampshire football, as Carlos Montoya will drop back in the shotgun, and it's going to be deflected away. That was Tate Gray on the coverage, and that will force 3rd and 6. Montoya in the shotgun formation. Going to be facing a 4-man front. No, it's going to be a direct snap. It's going to go to the true freshman Zach Howell, who picks up the first down. And we got 1st and 10, a brand new set of downs for this New Hampshire offense. They go back to the pass on 1st and 10 as Montoya tries to get it out again, but another deflection for Tate Gray, already his second pass breakup of the game. As we get into what looks like the final play of this first quarter, Montoya, he's going to launch one downfield, and it's going to be deflected away. The true freshman, Tyson Williams, is going on the coverage, and that does end the first quarter of action. We got a tight one with Georgia Southern only up by a field goal. So now we jump into the second quarter of action as we go back at it. 3rd and long. They're going to have to pass this football. Montoya gets some time in the pocket and throws over the middle of the field. It's the junior Terrence Slaughter who finds a hole in the zone coverage. And that's the biggest game for New Hampshire in this ball game. But they're going to have to continue to be brilliant on 3rd down. 3 for 3 so far. Trying to make it 4 for 4. And it's deflected away. The sophomore custom, DeAndre Dowdell, breaks it up, and now they will actually go for it here on 4th and long. Kind of in no man's land, going for it all. Montoya, end zone, and it's deflected away. The Georgia Southern defense will stand tall, and they will take over. The offense will go on their previous possession. We'll see if they can take advantage. As Ikeda, he's going to get loose with it. He's going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. As Ikeda Woods, the junior redshirt, he's going to run it downfield for a 72-yard touchdown, making multiple linebackers miss in the process. You want to talk about a certified bad man? We got one right here. A matter of fact, they forced New Hampshire to go 3 and out on their next possession, so Georgia Southern can really open things up here, and sure enough, that's what we start to see. Albert Miniachi, he's going to get his first touch of this game, and it goes for a cool 47-yard rush that gets the Eagles in midfield. Couple plays later, though, 3rd and long, that will force Georgia Southern to pass this football. They go play action here as Ikeda rolls to the right, but is going to be intercepted. It's the true freshman, John Conley, as Blake Williams has to bring him down from behind. But how about a true freshman like him coming through in the clutch and making an absolutely incredible play? And that is exactly what New Hampshire needs right now to get back into this game. Can New Hampshire capitalize, though, as they take over in the red zone? Montoya drops back. He's going to look over to the left-hand side. It is going to be deflected away by Bubba Campbell, the sophomore. It will make it 2nd and 10. As now, Montoya drops back to pass. He's got time to work with. Moves in the pocket over to the right-hand side. And that's also going to be deflected away. Trying to target Terrence Slaughter. And that's now all of a sudden a 3rd and 10. Not necessarily what they want to be. Montoya looking. He's going to launch it. Throws it up. And it's going to be caught by Jermaine Thomas. First down for the New Hampshire Wildcats. And that is a massive play for Carlos Montoya, as it now provides a goal line situation. 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Trying to run it up the middle of the field. But the fullback is going to get involved. And we got ourselves a fullback touchdown. The big boys get it involved. New Hampshire gets right back into this game. And it's only a 3-point deficit. Plus, Georgia Southern, they got 3 and out on their next possession. So New Hampshire, with the first time today, they could take the lead here in these last minutes of the first half. Montoya drops back, looks to the left-hand side, gets it out to Jermaine Thomas once again. As we are starting to see Carlos Montoya really start to find a rhythm. 3 consecutive completions thus far. Do they go back to that aerial tap and see if they can get a 4th? Montoya looks like he's going to do that in the shotgun. Play action. He's going to launch it downfield. He wants the touchdown, and it looks like it was dropped by Jermaine Thomas. And what a price to that fullback play, as well as Bubba Campbell absolutely lit him up. And it's now 3rd and short. Montoya under center. They go back to the fullback. He is definitely staying in the game. He certainly watches those hockey highlights and gets that first down for the Wildcats. As we now get back to a 1st and 10. Montoya going to look over the middle of the field and trying to find, it looks like Trevor Garcia, but that looks like it was dropped as well, leading to this 2nd and 10, as that was a high snap. Montoya going to get hit as he throws the football, and that will also be deflected away. Once again, 3rd and 10 for New Hampshire, as they're going to go quickly here, as Dowdell will get him off the field. And it will force a 45-yard field goal attempt for Charles Irvin, the sophomore. Can he tie this game up? The kick is going to be in the air, and it's going to be good. So they will end up tying this ball game, and that will be our score as we go into the halftime locker room. We do have a close game on our hands so far, all knotted at 10 apiece. So welcome back to the second half of action here, as New Hampshire and Georgia Southern, they are locked in a tight one. New Hampshire, they will get the ball to start this second half, and they're going to the ground game early. Zach Howe is going to make his presence felt a little bit. Nice run up the gut there. Looks like he picked up a gain of 14 yards for a nice first down, as it leads to another 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. As Montoya, do they go back to him? No. He's going to throw it instead down the right-hand side and trying to find Ross Williams, but just an inaccurate ball that led to that incomplete. So here's the scene if we can see a better throw over to the left-hand side, and it is over to Terrence Slaughter, who's getting loose in the backfield as Dowdell misses the initial tackle, and Tyson Williams, the true freshman, has to come in and clean things up. Touchdown saving tackle there. He was the final line of defense and took a really good angle, but it provides yet another red zone opportunity for New Hampshire. Can they seize the lead here on 1st and 10? Montoya looks around, facing some pressure towards the end, and finally lets it go to Ross Williams, who will pick up a gain of 5. And Georgia Southern has not sacked this quarterback yet, but that being said, they have been getting pressure. It just hasn't turned into sacks yet. As we'll go to 2nd and 5, looking for an end zone attempt, looking for Jermaine Thomas, but it will be deflected away by the sophomore corner, Dowdell II, one of your guys' custom players as well. And it leads to a 3rd and 5. From the 12, they're going to fake the run. Montoya towards the end zone and finds Trevor Garcia, the sophomore. And that will give New Hampshire their very first lead of this game. How about a big-time throw by Carlos Montoya? And that will give his guys a 17-10 lead. Later on in the 3rd quarter, we do see a couple of free and outs. We will go ahead and take a look at Robert Hayden. He is a true freshman playing at punter as they get it in the hands of Blake Williams. And Blake Williams is actually going to take this to the crib as well. So just in a blink of an eye, Georgia Southern, they're going to tie this game up. But the special teams, maybe that special team's going to go both ways as the ensuing kickoff. Bryant Henry is going to do something that he might regret for a little while. He got in the hands of one of these New Hampshire playmakers, as it looks like the true freshman, Otis Grimm. He's in the running for best return man of the year. And how about this for a big-time return in the national championship game, giving your team a lead late in the 3rd quarter. And Otis Grimm, the freshman custom, knows it too. He is him. And now Georgia Southern finds itself down once again, as they are having to go down in the depth chart a little bit more. This is Josephi Krakowski with his first carry of the game. And it's a big-time moment here for this freshman running back. He's going to pick up the first down there. As we got a 1st and 10 from the 41. Do they go back to the true freshman? They don't initially, as Ikeda Woods fakes the pitch and gets it to the backup, Blake Williams. He will make a good stride downfield, as that will eventually be brought down by the outside linebacker, Brian Hall. And if you guys are wondering where Albert Miniachi is, he sprained his elbow, and he's done for the game. He will not be making an appearance anytime soon. So it's going to be all Ikeda, as we got a huge play in the backfield. Thomas Nelson puts the ball on the ground, and Georgia Southern is very close to losing that football. By the way, 2nd and 18, and Georgia Southern, they're going to be forced into a pass set, but Ikeda Woods, he's going to get himself out of the pocket, gets a bunch of that yardage back, and then some. And while Seth Allen makes the tackle, we still have a 3rd down on our hands, but a manageable 3rd down. Only need to pick up 5 yards here, as Woods will try to pass once again. He's going to look over to the left-hand side, and it's going to be caught by the sophomore, Aaron Smith. Big-time play by a big-time player. As that wraps up the 3rd quarter of action, we're still all knotted up at 24 apiece. 1 quarter now to decide the national championship. Let me see those 4s in the chat. So now we jump into the 4th quarter of action. We got an exciting one here for the national championship. As we go ahead and see, looking over the right-hand side, and it's going to be caught over the middle of the field. And that is going to be caught by Ross Williams, but a dangerous area. Got away with one there for sure. But now, New Hampshire sitting across midfield right now. As we drop back to pass, we see Montoya looking over the middle once again, and dumps it off to the true freshman, Zach Howe, who will be able to go ahead and pick up a few yards on that play. A nice 5-yard gain. And that will eventually lead to a 3rd and short after a brief run by Zach Howe. Will they go back to him? And they don't. They're going to play action. Instead, looks over his body and finds Jermaine Thomas, who's been having a really nice day so far. He's got 5 catches for 82 yards. Looking good here in this national championship game. A couple of plays later, we got a 2nd and 8 coming here as they go back to that ground game. Zach Howe is initially stuffed. He's going to hurdle over Dowdell II, and Zach Howe's going to put up the 1st down. That ends up being Tate Gray that eventually makes the tackle, and that will give a red zone opportunity to New Hampshire. We'll see how they decide to play these last few minutes. So as they get a little bit tricky here, Terrence Slaughter is going to run a reverse option. Thankfully, Georgia Southern remains disciplined, forcing a 3rd and 7. And just playing it safe, they know they got the points. They're going to give it to Zach Howe, who will pick up the 1st, well, not the 1st down, but make this field goal attempt a little bit closer, and it leads to a 25-yard field goal attempt. Now, Charles Irvin, you saw the graphic. He is 14 for 17 so far on the season. This right here is the most important kick of his college career to put him up by a field goal in the national championship game, and it's going to be good. Now we'll finish a 12-play, 69-yard drive, and it takes almost 4 minutes up. So now we'll see if Ikeda Woods can lead a game-winning drive here in the national championship game. Starting out, looking over to the left-hand side, gets it out to the junior red shirt, Dallas Whitaker, for the first down, but the Eagles are not satisfied. They're going no huddle here for this first down. Woods trying to throw again, gets to the outside. He's going to actually run for it. He'll pick up a first down himself too. I don't know if he managed to get himself out of bounds, however. We'll see how Georgia Southern plays it, and they decide to go back to the huddle, but that clock is still ticking. 1:30 left to play in the game. Woods dropping back again. He's going to look, facing some pressure up the middle. It's picked off. It's intercepted by the true freshman, Brian Hall. And that might be the most critical play that we see here in the national championship game. They are excited. They are hyped up as you can be, as Brian Hall makes the big time play. And now all that needs to be done, pick up one first down, and Georgia Southern will not be able to stop the clock. They go to the big time Burley fullback, and how about this? The fullback actually picks it up here in the national championship game, and that will indeed put the nail in the coffin. The New Hampshire Wildcats, there is a new college football national champion crowned, and its name is the New Hampshire Wildcats. They will finish the year 16-1. This was an amazing national championship game. Well played by both teams, but New Hampshire, they do what it takes to edge it out. Painful loss for Georgia Southern here on the national stage, but they got some talent, and I'm sure they might be back, depending on what Ikeda Woods does. So congratulations once again to the New Hampshire Wildcats on winning the year number 3 FCS National Championship game. This was an exciting game, and it was one of those games that it feels great to win, but terrible to lose. But now we'll go ahead and check out these stats for our individual players that took part in this year's game. We start with the national runners-up, Georgia Southern, and their individual stats on the day. Ikeda Woods led the way for the Georgia Southern Eagles. Didn't do much in terms of passing the football. He was 2 for 4 today, 31 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions though. So for the most part, somebody was catching his footballs, whether it was his guys or it was a defender. He was technically perfect on the day, but we know that he's not known as a passer. He's known as a runner, as Ikeda did lead the way in this one. 15 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown in the game. We also saw one of your customs get involved, Josephi Krakowski, the true freshman, standing at just 5'11". He gets 1 carry in this game for 16 yards. As for the receivers, we only saw 2 receivers make a catch for Georgia Southern today. Aaron Smith, the sophomore tight end, ends up with 1 catch for 18 yards and also found a way to get into the end zone, while Dallas Whitaker caught the other ball from Ikeda Woods. The 6'1" junior redshirt had 1 catch and 13 yards. As for the defense, DeAndre Dowdell actually led the team in tackles today. He had 9 tackles over the course of this game. He also did end up with 3 pass breakups as well during this national championship. Tate Gravy, junior free safety, also had a good number of tackles, 7 tackles in this game, also forcing the only turnover that the entire defense was able to force, able to intercept Carlos Montoya in the first half. As for the rest of the Georgia Southern defense, looks like nobody was able to get to the quarterback today. There was no sack, so a very good job by New Hampshire keeping Carlos Montoya clean and green throughout the entire game. No forced fumbles either. Not a crazy day for the defense. They almost did enough to win, but they're gonna fall just short. But now we check out the individual stats for the now national champions. It all starts with Carlos Montoya in this one. Playing in his final collegiate game, he goes 17 for 33, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So not an impressive performance by anything, but he did get some help. Zach Howe, he ran well in the clutch today. He ends up with 12 carries and 52 yards throughout the day, while the fullback, Jake White, who's not utilized very often, came through towards the end, 7 for 18, also had that touchdown with a long of 14 yards that did help solidify this game for the New Hampshire Wildcats. As for the receiving core, Jermaine Thomas, who is the true sophomore, he comes in with 5 catches and 82 yards, led the team in catches today, but not leading the team in yards. That goes to Terrence Slaughter, the true junior, with 4 catches and 90 yards in this game. As for who caught that touchdown from Carlos Montoya, it was Trevor Garcia, a sophomore wide receiver. The second team all-conference nominee ends up with 2 catches, 16 yards, and also a touchdown to his name from Carlos Montoya. Now defensively, they did what they could to slow down Ikeda Woods, and it was because of efforts of guys like Tavita Bean, who is nominated as a first-team All-American. Tavita Bean led the defense in tackles today with 6 tackles, 2 of which were TFLs as well, and we also got a forced fumble out there from this guy as well. Seth Allen was the second place person in terms of tackles. In addition, the freshman corner did end up with 5 tackles. He did step in pretty well, given that there were some injuries in the secondary going into this game. We did see 1 sack in this game when Ikeda Woods tried to attempt a rare pass. It was Patrick McDaniel. He ends up with 3 tackles, all of which were behind the line of scrimmage, one of which was sacking Ikeda Woods. Finally, we saw 2 interceptions today. John Conley got a huge interception, took it 50 yards. Didn't think it was not a defensive touchdown, but it set up beautiful field position for the New Hampshire Wildcats. So a great play by the true freshman. That was his only stat. He didn't make any tackles or anything like that. But it was Brian Hall who made the game-winning interception, the second team all-conference nominee. He had a few tackles in this one, but his interception is going to be what people are going to remember the most, in my opinion, in terms of who wins, how New Hampshire won that national championship game. Finally, we did see a couple of forced fumbles as well. Kyle McDonald and Tavita Bean got fumbles, but neither of which were actually recovered. So that will officially wrap up year number 3 of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06. Next episode, we're going to go through the entire offseason recap. We're going to do some things like check out who the All-Americans are, who won the major awards outside of the Heisman Trophy, as well as go through, guys that are getting ready to transition to graduation in the NFL, recruiting, and I am really deeply excited about this episode. We're going to have fun in that next episode as we are now going through the offseason as we get ready for year number 4 action. So, guys, you're not going to want to miss that offseason recap, because not only is all of that, as I mentioned, it's going to be in there, there's also going to be a little bit of information about how you can get a custom player in this series, how you guys can be more involved in this series. But I'll leave that for next episode. But if you enjoyed today's presentation of the national championship game, I need you guys to go ahead and do me a massive favor. Smack that like button for me, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.